Yeah, and it was funny because initially that opening sequence was about 5 times that long, so it was a big, long kind of overture, and it ended up getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and it ended up being really fast. So for me, it just feels like this kind of whistle stop like tour of the movie and of the score, you know. And it's just exactly like every little piece is there, but like in flashes. It's like, you know, just little moments, and then we're over there, and then we're there. So having to condense that was quite hard, but actually I think it's ended up being quite fun. It's quite a fun opening.
Mm-hmm. What was the genesis of your involvement in the project, and what were the original conversations like?
So I met the director. I think I was on a list, and I think she met a few people, and we went for a walk together. She'd listened to. I just finished Wild Mountain Thyme, so she listened to that. We had a really nice chat. We got on really, really well. I just loved all of her ideas. I loved her, you know. I loved the script when I read it, but then when I met her, I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And we got on really, really well. And then she was like, you know, I'd love you to do it. And they had a scene. So there's a ballroom scene where there's, you know, a big dance. And there's a really, you know, amazing dance between Malcolm and Selena. And they were filming that pretty early on. So she always knew that she wanted the score to come in for that. So that it's a waltz that they're dancing to, and then it kind of fades into the score when they're, you know, gazing, so you feel like you're in their private world in a way. And so I wrote that love theme way before they started just before they started shooting, and just kind of did a, you know, version of it that they could use in the shooting of the ball. So again, it was a nice way to start that job, because I already had one of the big themes written, and I knew that Emma, you know, was happy with it. So it's a really nice feeling to go into something going, okay, well, I've got one piece of it kind of set, you know. And I think if I'd have had to have started and they'd been like, you have to write a love theme, I think the pressure of it would have been really hard. But because I'd done it, and I'd done it not really realizing that it was going to be the love theme, you know, then it was the pressure was off in a way, and then it was just deciding what the rest of the score was going to be.
Well, I mean, so the sound of love, right? It's a big topic, but I have to say, like, the proposal piece,
yeah,
like this standalone. I mean, it works beautifully to picture. It's immaculate to picture, but I have to say, you know, doing the dishes, et cetera, it also performs just as well. And it's just this 4-minute opus of love, and, you know, the droning strings, and the chords are so patient, and you have these beautiful arpeggios, and this culmination of these characters and their futures aligning, and the sound that you have created to capture that is just stunning. So, I mean, it's not even a question, it's more of a congratulations.
oh, thank you, that's so nice, thank you.
Are you a romantic?
Yes, I think I
And
am.
like, I'm honestly curious, are you experiencing these feelings as you're writing something like this? You know how there's certain pieces that like they really just go to the main vein. And I'm
Yeah,
just curious, like, did you sense that when you were writing this? Did you feel something? Is it more
yeah,
cerebral? Is it
yeah. I definitely feel, you know, when you that when you stumble upon something, and that was with that Mr. Malcolm theme, with that love theme, the proposal. I kind of felt when I was, you know, when I found it, that it was, you know, I definitely felt it in my tummy. Like I definitely get like a kind of gut feeling when something's right. And it felt really right. And again, it was just so simple. It was so simple. And I was like, this is so, but it was something about the way, yeah, there was something about it that just felt slightly unusual. I don't know. I think the way I positioned my hands or something was just different to how I normally play. So it created a different pattern. And yeah, I kind of, I knew that it was really lovely, but I didn't know if it would work, you know, in the film or anything. But then luckily, you know, Emma just really responded to it, and it did end up working really well.
are you, when you're making that piece, or let's say a piece like it, that feels that generates this tummy feeling, let's call it.
Yes, yes.
Are you chiseling like, you know, the block like Michelangelo and sort of finding your way, or do you hear it? Do you hear it in its entirety?
I usually write, so I usually will write like whatever the main motif is, so just on the piano, the kind of simple bare bones of it, and then all the other parts will start coming in, and I kind of hear the whole thing.
Got it.
um, but it's normally quite quick, that, you know, all the little pieces and parts, and they kind of fly in, and then we just have to get them into a voice note or something, sing them into something, or and then once I kind of sit down at the computer and start putting them in and piecing it together, and then, you know, and then yeah, I'll chisel and other things will come in and some things will come out. And but yeah, usually I'll kind of play, and then I'll walk away from the piano, and then something will come into my head and I'll have to sing it, and then I'll kind of get that down, and then I'll leave. I think, okay, I'm done with that now, and then I'll go away, and then I'll hear, and then something else will kind of come in. So it's a weird, it's kind of it's just in my head's full of whatever that is for a while.
So are there, just to drill down one step further, are there ideas flying in that you're editing out, that are coming in and you're saying, sorry, you don't belong here?
No, not usually, actually. Usually it's like, yes, that's what we need, and oh yeah, that's great. And yeah, no, normally they're all kind of, they're needed. And then I'm sure maybe down the line I'd take some stuff out. But
Sure.
but
Sure.
those initial ideas are always right, I think.
So perhaps it's because you're actually capturing genuine inspiration. Maybe that's why it works so
Yeah,
well, because it's just
maybe.
it's almost like you're a vessel for.
Yeah, it does feel like that sometimes, because I won't be deliberately thinking, right, and now I need something for the cello, and now I need something for the, you know, and then suddenly I'll just hear something in my head and go, oh, great, that's that.
Were there any?
And then I work with, sorry, and then I work, you know, with orchestrators as well. So it's like then there'll always be an extra fleshing out and another level to everything, once those kind of, you know, main melodies and arrangements are there. So that always, you know, will add another level to everything.
Were there any conversations about composers of the 1800s or the sounds of the time period?
There were, and I was really honest with Emma as well, because I said, look, I'm not classically trained. So if you want something that's going to sound really authentically from Regency England, I'm not the person. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, that's just not, you know, I can't emulate that in a really realistic way. You know, I can do a take on it and a version of it. If you want something that sounds authentically from that time, then that's not me. But actually, she didn't want that. You know, she wanted an interpretation, and I think she, you know, she wasn't she was a bit more open to just having a bit of artistic license and just doing what worked for the film, rather than being too finicky about the actual time and the music and what it would have been, you know, which was really nice because I didn't feel restricted.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it also just works really, really well. It might have been a bit odd had you chosen to go very time specific.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have worked. I think it had to feel slightly, you know, because the performances and the actors are so kind of brilliant, and their humor, and it felt contemporary in some ways. So I wanted to keep that feeling of, you know, of it feeling a bit new.